I started in the paint industry as a part-time paint specialist, at the front counter. And I found that by asking contractors as a whole all of their, preferences and why does this work for you, I was able to gain so much industry experience from my position by asking the right question.
Welcome to Broad Strokes, a paint contracting podcast for women by women. We know how much hard work and dedication it takes to run a successful painting business, and this is the place for us broads to BS all about it. Join your host, Tana Todd, and celebrate the achievements of women who are kicking ass in the world of paint contracting. Let's BS about it. Welcome back, everybody, to the Broad Strokes podcast. I am your host, Tana Todd, T-squared to you who know me on the Instagram waves and the internets already. And this is our second recording of all time, season 1. I'm sitting down today with Sarah Ross of Mallory Paint. She's all the way in Seattle, Washington. Hello from Denver. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure.
It is my pleasure.
So we've already kicked off our conversation this morning with talk about cats and making promotional videos for our businesses and how exciting and fun that is. I think it's really great that you get to exercise that part of your brain as part of your job in the painting industry. You'd think like, oh, what a snooze. Like, who cares? It's just paint. No. We have cats.
That's right.
That's amazing. Sweet. Well, the theme of today's Broad Strokes cast is Try Me. As women in a male-dominated industry, we are very frequently confronted with situations, stereotypes, and prejudices that really beg the question, well, try me. And you told me a story on our first phone call that I would like to have relived today on air about a time that a homeless person, of all things, of all people, decided to try you. So let's walk it back to that day. Let's set it up for us, set the scene, and tell us about the day the homeless man tried you.
Heck, time. Well, I live in Tacoma, which is Seattle's ghetto little sister, and it's really interesting out here. Everything is flat and spread out in a way that the stacked city is not. And we have Mallory Paint stores all over the place. Well, just about every neighborhood. It's starting to feel like our Tacoma store has an excellent crew, actually primarily female, and they're all really great, energetic kids. And one day, I'm driving down the street. It's a Saturday. I went to get my AM bacon crunch wrap from Taco Bell. Shout out. And
Yum. Delish.
I'm driving past the store, and there's a guy asleep in front of the door of the store. And he's in a chair, and he has a blanket pulled up over his head. And there's a really big discussion, in the Pacific Northwest, about how to be compassionate to homeless people. And I'm all about, caring about people who are less fortunate and helping them get on their feet and all that. But I'm also all about our business and protecting our business and our customers. And this guy is parked right in front of the door. So I'm driving past. It's 8 a.m. It's actually after 8. The store should be open, but all the lights are off. And I'm like, oh no, they're probably, a little concerned about how to handle this because on weekends there's not really a manager in the store. So I pull up in my hood, and I go into the store. The girls are kind of huddled there by the door, and I'm like, hey guys, there's a guy asleep in front of your door. They're like, yeah, we were just trying to figure out what we're going to do about it. I'm like, I got you, right? So I go outside, and I'm really nice. I'm like, sir, I need you to get up. He's like, garbled sounds.
Guttural noises.
That's right. And I'm like, sir, I need you to get up, and I need you to go. Our business is open now. I need you to leave the premises. So he gets up and he starts putting his clothes back on. I think I left that part out.
Oh.
And his shoes.
He was a nudist.
He was not as dressed as everyone else has been before that I've experienced at my paint store.
Somebody get this man a maple leaf. Sorry. Anyway. Or pants.
It takes about 10 minutes putting on his shoes. And the girls, I walk back inside, I'm like, all right, he's on his way out. And the girls are like, Sarah, I don't remember, but did I tell you about the poop?
Yeah, you did, but you didn't tell everybody else about the poop. I know about the poop.
Okay, well, now I have to tell everyone about the poop.
Okay, roll it back to the poop.
Okay, so the girls are in the store, they're like, Sarah, there's poop in the parking lot. And I'm like, there's poop in the parking lot. So I go out, and there's a big Tide container that's tilted on its side, like one of the Tide Pods ones, and there's balls of poop. Like, they look like meatballs, but they're not meatballs, they're poop balls. It was really odd. And so the poop balls are spilled out of this Tide Pod container. So the guy's putting his shoes on, and I come over there and I'm like, sir, is this your poop?
Is this your poop?
I know. I wasn't quite as nice about it. He goes, don't swear at me, girl. And I'm like, okay, so this is how it's gonna be.
Wait, but what did you say though? I mean, what was the not nice? We can cut this two ways.
Is this your shit? Which is, it's a Tacoma thing. I mean, we have potty mouths down here. Anyways, and he goes, don't swear at me, girl. The Bible doesn't, blah, blah, blah. So he went a little extreme with it. Anyways, so I am trying to handle the business while he's really just not picking up and leaving as quickly as I'd like. And someone else pulls up, an orthodontist that works next door. And I go, hey, do you have any bleach? He's like, and he looks at my situation, and he looks at the homeless guy, and the homeless guy starts talking to the orthodontist. And I'm like, yo, you need to go. And he's like, quiet, girl, men are talking. And I was like, no. And he said that right as one of my girls stuck her head out the door, and she heard him, and her eyes got all big. And I was like, yo. So anyways.
No, negative.
Short, yeah, we enforced him leaving. We handled the biohazard. And we were all a lot stronger for it.
Oh.
It's interesting because this guy he comes around often, and the girls all know him by name now.
Oh.
But nobody respects him because of the quiet girl men are talking comment, not the homeless comment. And
or the poop.
It was really interesting. Yeah, or the poop. Well, yeah. So much poop, dude. Like,
I gotta wonder,
so
like, you said they were, like, properly formed poop meatballs.
I don't even, okay, so, the Tide container's on its side. There's, like, diarrhea water on the ground.
Oh,
which is
dear.
Water. It means diarrhea pee on the ground. And, like, I kid you not, the poop balls are, like, this big, and they're spheres. But one of them was a little mesh, and it was really evident what it was. But there were, like, 4 round poop balls.
Maybe he's got a pet dung beetle. Maybe he's got a little army of dung beetles. Who knows? Well, anyway, that sounds like a fascinating morning. How long ago did that happen again?
Oh, that was probably 3 months ago.
3 months ago. So during COVID, in the dredges of COVID, we bring you a story, a harrowing experience of poop balls and condescension. Mansplaining in a parking lot by a homeless guy. Well, we try, yeah, and I'm with you 100%. My heart is with you to respect the lives of others despite their station. Of course, respecting others' the right to run their business is also something that you can do whether or not you do or do not live on the streets. So I think you handled that really well. I don't know if I would have handled it so well. I'm a little bit easier to pop off with the mouth, which doesn't always make things better, but good for you taking initiative.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. And it's funny because it's 2020. Good grief now. Like, these attitudes are pervasive in our non-work lives. They touch us in our work lives where we go. I'm sure that's not the first time that you've had to kind of gracefully or maybe forcefully handle an incidence of some maybe gender motivated prejudice and attitudes.
No, it's not the first time, and I spent a lot of time thinking about this one experience because my automatic instinct was to go public and say on Facebook, oh, somebody said this to me, and, but I realized that, I started writing it out, and I'm like, a homeless guy said this. I'm like, well, station doesn't really have anything to do with what he said. So then it turned into, a man said this to me, and then I'm like, well, that he's a person. A person decided that I think he felt so poorly about his situation in life, he took the one thing that he felt like he had over me, which was age and gender, and he threw those in my face. And in the end, it made me really reflect on how his spirit kind of feels after being, put down for so long. Because as a homeless person, not everyone is nice to you, especially out here. Mm-hmm. And there's also been a huge influx in homeless people because they let a lot of felons out of prison recently. So I feel for him in the sense that he felt it was necessary to do that. Like that was his one iota of pride, was his gender and his age. So anyways, it's certainly an interesting thing to contemplate.
Certainly. And, in some of the, like market testing I did and I guess focus grouping and outreach, I asked a lot of women how they felt about, talking about gender in their lives, in their professional lives in this industry. And does that, do they have a perception of tension, and has that kind of changed their way that they run their lives and businesses? And I think that's just different for everyone. And what you say about, that iota of dignity and self-pride, right? The goal of the Broad Strokes cast is certainly to never put ourselves and the gender of womanhood in a position to say that, we are better than, or that we necessarily, in an effort to raise our voices and be proud of our achievements, say that the male experience and that maledom is wrong or bad. We just have interesting moments of friction that are, normal and happen, and it's okay to talk about those things and still support and love each other and be inclusive of all genders and gender identities. So that is the goal of the Broad Strokes cast. Broad Strokes.
Broad Strokes, new name.
New name.
I think that's the right way to be having this conversation, and I wish that more people did in the area that I live, which is it's very progressive out here. A lot of people take a very extreme approach, and it leads to less conversation and more fighting. And I think that a lot can come from a good talk. So absolutely.
For those of you out there stalking who we are, don't look too closely at some of my Facebook stuff. I get wound up, and I like to have very colorful conversations about these in my personal time. But it's important to acknowledge that that civility and discourse is important, and a little healthy needling on the occasion is also fine.
That's kind of fun,
right? It's like, golly, I just need a man to teach me how to do this right now. You know what I needed? I needed this explained to me in my exact words, but with a deeper voice.
And 30 years of experience in the industry.
Yes. Speaking of experience, we talked about this with Corey Leister on our other show. How do you feel about the assumption that age and experience go together? How's that manifested in your professional life?
Age and experience, I feel like a lot of people who have age do have valid experience that does give them a stronger edge in a lot of arenas, especially practical experience. Like if you've been brushing an oil-based paint with a China bristle brush for the last 30 years, and you tried other brushes and you went back to your China bristle, I'm going to trust that for you, the China bristle works really well, and I'm probably not going to try and say, hey, try Chinex, because, your experience has told you what you like, and that's valid.
Yeah.
But people that take their age as experience, I've been around for 30 years, so I know this about this, and you can't tell me nothing. I'm not into that. I feel like it's very egotistical, regardless of, who's expressing it. My ego shouldn't put you in a position where you stop yourself learning new things. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
A lot of
Yep. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but yeah, last conversation we had, bringing up a little bit of my experience. I have way less brushing experience, certainly not 30 years with oil-based paints, but I got a handful of years riding motorcycles and some time teaching older riders how to really, really maintain great control of their machines out there on the range, right? So I teach motorcycle all the weekends when I'm not running myself ragged for Nick May. And my favorite students, I say my favorite, I like trouble children and trouble people, right? People that provide a point of friction for me to find a way to kind of to move through a bunch of no's and get them to say yes, right? It's almost like sales. You got to sell an older rider or an experienced rider on the idea that something new is good and will benefit them to just try it out, right? And I sometimes get a little pushback from that, and sometimes I get a little sprinkle of the gender and the peering eyes and the kind of, okay, little lady, let me tell you something here. I don't know what to freaking all right. It's only happened a couple times. But eventually, when they do keep that open mindset and drop the ego and accept a little additional coaching and a little something new, they become better writers. And they come to me after class and say, this whole concept of countersteering makes no sense before, but now I understand. I've been doing it all along just fine. I just needed to prove it. And I'm like, yes, that's it. You know what? Good job. You're right. You have been doing this the whole time. But everybody wins at the end of the day. And that's what's important, is that people learn and grow, and that we are open as young adults, older adults, inexperienced, new experiences. Gosh, somebody who's only been rolling for a year might find something on YouTube that you'd never heard about before. I'm sure that happens all the time. Totes. She's nodding her head, by the way, out there. Sorry. Oh, no, it's okay. It's cool. It's cool. It's nice to have a conversation where you kind of like forget that this is a production we're doing, yeah. But no big deal.
No, I'm sorry. It cut out just like when you said the thing. And so I'm like, yes. Amiable nod.
Amiable nod. Yes. It's all good. And we were chuckled about it enough that I can't even remember what we were talking about. But that's fine. So age and experience, not the same thing all the time, but certainly there is something to be said for those who have a collective amount of experience and knowledge. I'm sure you've had some great mentors in your time. Tell me a little bit about that. Who's your mentor? Who's the person that kind of gave you the confidence and brought you to this place of success that you are here?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I started in the paint industry as a part-time paint specialist, at the front counter. And I found that by asking contractors as a whole all of their, preferences and why does this work for you, I was able to gain so much industry experience from my position by asking the right question. There's one guy who kind of stands out, and his name is Kelvin Boyd. He's one of my favorite people. So
shout out.
I had retail customers, I engage with them on color. They really like to talk about color. And I had some really odd retail customers come in who were like very specific about their need for Benjamin Moore Delamo, which was at this point a discontinued semi-gloss oil-based paint. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, this doesn't exist anymore. Here, use this instead. And they're like, Kelvin Boyd told us we have to use this one. It has to be the same one. And I worked with these customers in a very detailed way. I'm like, who's this Kelvin Boyd? And they're like, oh, he's our painter, and he's a traditional painter. And, they would get excited talking about him. And we're talking like interesting kind of cat people, like where, not bashing cat people, but very quiet, reserved. They love their pets, but they don't necessarily love other people very much. So these people, when they got excited about Kelvin, it was really interesting. And I had a few of them come in with just weird need for Delamo. Anyways, I knew that he was from New Zealand, and that's about it. One day, this man walks into my store. It's probably been 2 years of having these customers come in, and he's got his little cap on and a nice little jacket. And he's probably in his late 70s, and he got his hands in his pocket. And he walks up and he goes, hello. And I go, oh my God, are you Kelvin Boyd? And he just like, shock on his face. He's like, yeah? And I'm like, you're here. You're finally here. Like, I built up needing dating this guy for so long. Anyways, he's a retired painter from New Zealand who went through an apprenticeship program in like the 1940s, and he is a master painter. When we talk about years of experience, we're talking this guy drunk from a bridge that was flooded in the middle of a storm in New Zealand painting. I mean, he has the best like life experience about paint, and he has it in multiple countries, and so he'll share with me his experiences, from one country to the next, and tell me about what it was like to stir lead paint with your arm, or to roll mercury in your hands, or the difference in weight between a gallon of red oxide and a gallon of yellow oxide. Like, his experience is like no other. So we obviously became friends and pen pals, and his wife came up and stayed with me for a week, and I went down and stayed with them. So we're close friends. But the love that he has for the paint industry, it certainly, molded something in me that was growing already. So, yeah, nice. I love Calvin Boyd.
That's wonderful. That is so great when you have somebody to rely on that can paint that kind of picture. Oh, paint pun counter, pating, paint. Put that in the corner of the screen, ping. They can paint that kind of picture of their experience, and there's a richness there that can't be ignored, and that's so cool, right? Breaking through that stuffy wall of, oh no, our very favorite Mr. Calvin. That's exciting.
Yes.
I love it. So you've learned a lot from them. That's exciting. That's wonderful. We wouldn't be anywhere we are today without, asking the right questions and stroking that curiosity as well. Have you ever met somebody that just wasn't curious about the world, and you just kind of look at them like, how do you enrich your life?
Yeah, those are the people that don't really, challenge themselves. Last night I saw this meme on the internet. It said, it was one of those circle graphs, and it said things I like to do and things I'm good at, and then way down here it said things that make money. And I was like, why do we as a culture have to monetize the things that we love?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to make money, why can't you go learn to be good at something that makes money that's separate from the things that you love? I think the idea of, being fiscally rewarded for something that you're passionate about, that you really just do for your own sake, I think that's flawed, because it will either break the thing that you love, or you won't be fulfilled by the thing that you love, because you'll be so focused on the fiscal reward. So, anyways, that's my mini rant.
Oh, that's wonderful. Absolutely. Yeah, there is a talk about that. They say if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And it is important to do the thing that you love, but sometimes you can't just get paid to do that. And it's like pressure. It's putting too much pressure, and it sort of changes the fundamental reason that you enjoy it, right? Like you were saying, you stop enjoying the job or the paint or the hobby or the whatever. So absolutely, I wanted to host. Oh, sorry, go on.
Paint is my life, so I'm really not one to talk.
Right? But it's cool. There are things to get excited about about painting, right? It's something that I think a lot of people take for granted, and they're realizing it now during COVID, that the way that their home feels and the emotion that evokes in a room, that's based in the color and the style of those cabinets, or whatever it is, more and more conversations are being had inside the home again. We're reconnecting. And when home feels out of place, we want to do something about it. And it's nice to know that at least the painting industry is keeping, staying in the black, as it will, during this time, right?
Agreed. Very much so.
I'm looking forward to speaking with another guest here in a couple shows. Cindy Howard, she does faux finishes and detail work and like the fine painting, the artistry aspect of painting, which is just fascinating. Do you have any experience in that world as well?
I've had the very great experience of knowing a bunch of faux finishers like Annette Shepard and Karen McLean from our area, who, and oh my God, Tara Meissner, of course, Tara Meissner.
Yes.
The way that they finesse finishes, they make things look like they're so valuable, and that they put into them make it valuable. I love faux finishing because there's concept that you have to do things a certain way. And the truth of the matter is, with the right product, if you make it look the way you want to, you're doing it right. And people get very worked up about, proper steps. And while there are proper steps to follow, like I said, if the paint dries the way that you want it to look, you have done what you set out to do. Congratulations.
You've accomplished the mission.
Yeah, you have made this piece of drywall look like marble. Good job. You have done gold metallic trim throughout the entire space. Out here we see a lot of faux finishing going into larger commercial spaces, like 13 Points restaurants or the Bass Pro gift shop.
Mm-hmm.
The whole ship of the bowling alley is made out, of Modern Masters metallics. So I love talking about faux finishes. I usually get there by accidentally spilling paint and deciding that, yes, this is what I meant to do. And, I don't have a lot of faux finish surfaces in my home.
Ah, yes. I too am a klutz. That's what I need to start saying. I've made a mess. No, I'm making art, okay? This tomato stain was on purpose, all right?
I am the beholder.
Yes, that's right. It's all about perspective, for sure. Turning magic out of mayhem is probably a big part of the learning process when it comes to something as visual as painting, whether it's just a single coat on a wall or those faux finishes. That sounds like something like you've got to have a capacity and patience to really learn and develop those skills, to achieve the look, the desired transformation that the client's looking for, or if it's your own kitchen where you're spilling sauce or paint or whatever, turn it into something that is what you had in your mind.
I have a lot of respect for people that choose faux finishing because it defines the space so significantly. Very personal thing to do in your space. And right now, trying to make it as neutral, blank page, contemporary European as possible out here. That way, when you walk into your house, it looks like the magazine, but everyone is doing that. And so when I see people putting personal touches, like I have a pearlescent gold wall, I'm like, good for you. You know what you like, and you're defining that area, and you're going to feel good when you're in that space. So I like it.
I wonder too, is there, when it comes to design trends in the, interior paint space of time, are colors and textures and everything, is that getting more bold, do you think, with time, or how do you think? Because wallpaper can be pretty bold. That's been around for a while.
Oh my God. If you like wallpaper, look up Timorous Beasties. It's from Scotland, and it's incredible.
Yeah. We'll have to drop that in the link.
What I feel like I'm experiencing is, I think that we're seeing a lot of younger families, mid-30s groups, doing that really blank white, clean European thing. It makes them feel like they're not living in their parents' house, because with all of the home sales, a lot of people are moving into homes that look like their parents' house. So I think they're going for this really minimalistic look to kind of avoid the chaos everywhere else. Whereas I feel like a lot of people who are a bit more established in their life and age bracket, they are going bolder because they're comfortable committing to something that they like, and they're trying to redefine themselves after years of having children or after moving to a new space. So while I have seen like big bursts of, here's my bold color, it's not usually from a younger crowd. It's really interesting, actually.
That's exciting. I look forward to a day when I'm so comfortable with, committing to something. Well, she has pink hair. That's a pretty big commitment, but, being able to stick with that, because I found myself decorating my own space that I just moved into, and I've never wanted more white in my life. I've never wanted more white walls and white space, and I'm a very colorful person. Everything I own is the color of the room. You don't need to put it on the walls where I go. But, and at the same time, it's a sense of, I don't have a sense of permanence quite yet. I haven't found that in my life. And I wonder if that's part of that decision-making process I hadn't thought about before. You may have just enlightened me to my own psychology of interior design.
Nice work.
Moments of Self-Discovery, brought to you by Sarah Ross of Mallory Paint in Tacoma, Washington. You're going to get an associate's in psychology now, right?
Here I go. I get an automatic diploma or something, right?
That's right. Honorary university degree somewhere. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you from the Nick May University of Life.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, let's put another certificate on his wall. Self-Discovery by Nick May. And he'll come out, and we have a scent for that.
I need a bumper sticker that says, at the end of every one of these, you need to have a bumper sticker of all of the best. I would put a Nick May University of Life bumper sticker on my car. I would.
Right? Oh my gosh. And I get to dibble around in the video production here too. And we use a lot of green screen work here. We do a lot of that for his videos, and it's really fun, but he's so animated. And if you haven't seen Nick May on his YouTube channel, The Business Brush TV, you really got to check it out. It's amazing on YouTube. But he pulls the craziest faces. And when you freeze frame him in front of a green screen, you can really do anything you want to him. Put him anywhere, turn him into anything. So in addition to the bumper sticker soundbite image we'll attach to this when we produce the video part, for those that are like, this is a podcast, I can't see. We'll also make sure we link in the social media the things that we've done to Nick in front of a green screen. So you can see.
I would share the hell out of that.
Oh, yeah.
Nick May, the lion detective. Nick May as a lion.
Nope.
Nick May as a white, whatever. That's kind of how I imagine it.
The Great White Buffalo, Nick May.
Intensity. I enjoy that very much.
That's awesome. And, if you're looking to kick up the production value of your own painting, television, broadcast, or whatever you're doing in your life, certainly invest in a green screen. They're a lot of fun. It teaches you things about video editing and really opens up a lot of possibilities for creating engaging media. And that's a part of what we do here at IMA Media.
I love your recent work, by the way. I've been watching all of your social media, and I really feel like there's been a recent upkick. So, nice job. Oh,
cool. I'll make sure I pass that along to the rest of the team here. It's not just me here. I'm just a voice in a box right now. But it's good to hear. We're happy to hear that our efforts are being measured positively by our viewing audience.
Great team.
We'll have to do another podcast again and talk just about social media and marketing strategy and the fun things that we can do, some of the craziest concepts we've come up with. But I think for today, we've had a really fun and interesting conversation. Would you agree? We'll have to come back and do it again for sure. But we learned a little bit about what it's like to try Sarah Ross and and how important it is to be graceful and compassionate to those of us, to those out there that, may be experiencing a different set of challenges in their life. And I'm really proud of you for the way you handled that situation. I think taking initiative is something we could all practice, but especially us ladies.
Yay! I really hope that poop balls is not like the keyword for this one podcast.
I'll have to talk to the production guys and be like, all right, best soundbite, we got to rank them. Poop balls. The Nick May Academy of Life Design.
Oh, God.
We'll have to see.
No, thank you so much for this.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to chatting again. Please, everybody, once again, this is Sarah Ross and Tana Todd here at the Broad Strokes podcast. We're just a couple of broads BSing about paint and making paint puns and talking about life. Looking forward to having more folks on the show and looking forward to gathering up more listeners. So stay tuned. We'll have another episode coming at you next week. For now, ta-ta. Thanks for tuning into Broad Strokes, a paint contracting podcast for women by women. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube for behind-the-scenes content, guest galleries, memes, and more. If you want to be on the show, shoot us an email to broadstrokes@imamedia.com. And until next time, I'm your host, Tana Todd, and it's been a pleasure BSing with you today. Sponsored by Benjamin Moore and Estimate Rocket.